Assalamualaikum. Hi guys. So I would like to continue next subchapter in chapter number 5 about 5.2 disease and parasitism. Okay, as you can see from here, this is about a parasite and pathogen that limit and restrict distribution. For example, native bird found fauna of Hawaii down there. Native birds of Hawaii have become extinct due to introduced disease, warned 1968, because of avian pox, okay, or the disease initially, and number 2, avian malaria, okay, later when were instrumental in causing extinction in the Hawaiian Islands. The idea that disease might be involved arose from observation that native birds occupy upperland in Hawaii and are relatively common only at elevation above 1,500 meter, while introduced birds occupy lowland. Okay, this is actually a graph about what we have discussed before about birds abundant and versus elevation. Okay, the blue color one is actually about malaria vector culex, okay, common in lowland area, and native birds in Hawaii are relatively common only at elevation above 1,500 meters. So the number just slightly increase and decrease, okay. Whereby for the red color one graph, the right color one, this is about introduced species. Introduced species occupy lowland. So this is actually originally the number of birds abundance are higher, and then after that reduces in a very seriously, okay. So this is the malaria vector or culex by these types of mosquito, converse most common in lowland area. Okay, again, if you look at here, for the malaria vector, of course the number here decrease, whereby for the next one, for malaria parasite, the bell shape there is about malaria parasite, and for native bird number increase, okay. So malaria parasite decrease, it is most abundant in mosquitoes at intermediate evulators, where vectors mosquito are host, birds overlap. So there are three types of pattern here: decreasing, your left hand side, the blue color one increasing, and the bell shape one the intermediate one. Okay, next, this is again the same thing. I think you can read by yourself, the decreasing and increasing and decreasing, something like bell shape as well for the parasite and elevation, okay. In the initial extinction of native birds of Mona Loa was initially influenced by habitat clearing for agriculture and introduction of rats, cats and pigs and avian pox before 1900, and subsequent extinction by introduction of avian malaria. Birds that went extinct in this time, early 1900, live in the mid elevation forest where malaria parasites are most common. Okay, next we move on into next subtopic, which is about allelopathy. So allelopathy is actually what? This is the inhibition of growth and the development in one species of plants by chemicals produced from another species. For example, interaction between plant and plant. Okay, plant versus plant. Plant is particularly may be limited by distribution of poisons, antibiotics or allelopathy agents. Impact what? Soil sickness, decrease in yield, and did not increase even after adding fertilizers. Okay, example number 1 for allelopathy is about grass and apple trees. Experiment design apple trees grown with 3 different sources of water. Number 1, primary source as a tap water. B, secondary source, water passing through grass and soil, and water that has passed through soil only. So the growth of apple seedling was inhibited by something produced by the grass and carried by water. Okay, as you can see from here, the upper layer and down there, but this is about before and after, okay. As you can see from here, there is 3 situation. The left hand side one, upper and lower, they are A, B, the condition for B, upper and the middle one, and the last one is the C. Okay, as you can see from here, experiment that demonstrated that the detrimental effect on grass and apple tree seedling. Grass and apple seedling are grown in separate flat in a greenhouse. Water is provided either your left hand side, okay. A1 independently from the type of to both grass and seedling. B, to grass growing the soil so that water drops through onto the seedling. And C, last one, up and down, okay, to soil only so that the water drips into the seedling. So apple tree seedling do not grow properly and often die and die, okay, when the water has passed through grass first, for the B. So I think this is about example for allopathy. So example number 2, effect of black walnut trees or Juglans nigra on grass and alfalfa plants, okay. Alfalfa plants on your right hand side on top one, and down there is actually walnut trees, okay. What happened? Okay, roots secret to a toxin to which tomatoes and alfalfa could not grow, but other like corn and beet showed no oil effect. The chemical of Juglan 5-hydroxy alpha naphthaquinone from roots and hulls of black walnuts. Some close relative of black walnuts, Juglans regia and etc. do not produce toxin. So inhibitor of seed germination, tomatoes and alfalfa will when grown near black walls and their seedling die if the root contact walnuts roots. Okay, about competition, this is another subchapter. Present of other organism may limit distribution of some species through competition. Allopathy is one specific type of competition for living space. Concurrent, allopathy versus competition. Okay, competition can also be for two species that use the same resources and live in the same sort of places. They need not to be closely related to compete for resources. For example, birds, rodents, and ants may compete for seeds in the desert environments. Herbs and shrubs compete for water in dry areas. Competition among animals is usually for food, mate, and habitat. Meanwhile, for plant, they compete for sunlight, nutrients, water, even pollinators. So how do we know if a competition is restricting geographic distribution? Of course, when species A is absent, species B live in a wider range of habitat. In some extreme cases, a habitat will contain only species A or B and even never both. The difficulty is that competition is only one of the several hypotheses that can account, okay, for the observed distributions. Okay, this is the example. Okay, example number 1, checkerbox distribution through diamond 1975. So what happened? Checkerbox distribution of closely related species, ecological related species in an island archipelago. The digitating distributions each island supporting only one species. The fruit pigeon of the Big Macs archipelago, P. Tilinopus rivoli and P. somolemonensis. The successful colonies, if either first come first basis or on the basis of slight competition advantage. Okay, this is actually what we have I've told before for the previous slide, the blue color one and the red color one. Okay, this is actually about the checkerbox distribution of two closely related species of fruit pigeons in the Bismarck archipelago of the Western Pacific Rim of New Guinea. Okay, so as we can see from here, this is actually this is about two islands. Okay, so for the blue color one and the red color one. Example number 2, competition among chipmunks, Eutamias dorsalis and E. umbrinus. Okay, for E. dorsalis, chipmunk, they live in under a lower elevation, includes E. umbrinus for higher elevation. The two species interact at about 2,100 meter, where the level of competition are highest. Okay, so what happened? For E. dorsalis, Cliff chipmunk, they are living in lower elevation, prefers live in the ground, less trees. They are very aggressive to its own and other than chipmunk species. For E. umbrinus, this is the chipmunk that are living in higher elevation with a lot of trees and spend its time on trees. So move from tree to tree along interlocking branches. Okay, at lower elevation, where trees are sparse, E. dorsalis includes E. umbrinus by its superior aggression. Aggression becomes ineffective when trees are close, dense space, because the arboreal umbrinus escape from through the tree. So competition success of E. umbrinus is determined by habitat structure. So this is actually a graph, okay, about what we you have heard before about these two types of chipmunk. I think you can read by yourself. Okay, E. dorsalis excluded from higher elevation due to the waste of energy because of its aggressive behavior in chasing the subordinate species. The effect of strong aggression are counterbalanced by the ability of the subordinate species to take refuge in some habitat which is not be dislodged by the dominant species. Okay, resource partitioning. When two species compete for resources, one will always be a better competition, and another one will lose out and disappear. Okay, whereby they are actually involved together, adaptation to escape minimize competition. Two evolutionary strategies a weak competition species can develop. Number one, avoid the superior competitor by selecting different part of habitat. For example, just now E. umbrinus and arboreal. Avoid the superior competition by selecting a different diet. Okay, there are a diet shift. Example number 3 about this type of birds. Okay, what happened? Crossbill finches extract seed from corns. Three species live in Eurasia and candidate for eating different foods. Okay, 1, 2, 3. So small crossbill, small bills feed of large seeds, corns, and are soft. Medium sized one, L. curvitostar, eats spruce seeds, whereby for the large crossbill, L. pituospiticus eats the hard cones of Scots pines. Okay, this minimized dietary overlap the regions where all three possible competitors live. Okay, this is I told you before about the differences between their beak. You know, the small one, they will feed the small seed, and the intermediate and the large one also, they have their own characteristic one. Thank you.